Hey budget gardeners, Vita Loca here. Join me today as I go over my plans for my backyard nursery during the next few months. So let's go. It is the end of January and I'm making plans on what I want to do in terms of getting ready for my backyard plant nursery during the months of March and April. Now that I have 1 year under my belt of having a backyard nursery, I have ways that I want to improve this year's nursery. And I figured it's a good time to share that with you. Now, you may be watching this saying that you don't want to have a backyard plant nursery. And that's all right. This gives you an idea behind the scenes of what someone like me is doing this time of year when there's still snow on the ground to get ready for my nursery. Also, perhaps you like to visit other backyard plant nurseries, and it gives you an idea of what other people are doing as well. Or possibly you want to have a backyard plant nursery and you're not sure what to do, especially this time of year during the winter months. And I figured this video would help you with just some things to think about in terms of what it takes to have a nursery and how to plan for future months leading up to the first sales of the season. My nursery is on my property, and even though I live on about 2 acres, the actual amount of land when it comes to making gardens on my land is probably 1 acre, if not less than an acre. And out of that acre, a small portion of it is dedicated to my plant nursery. It's located up my driveway on the right-hand side, and it's a perfect place where I can go, I can easily attend to it, weed, water, and also where people can come visit and park their car. They're not on the road. It's safe off the road, and they can do their shopping in a nice, easy area off the front of my yard. I had a very successful first year. I really enjoyed it. I met a lot of great people. I loved being able to help them out, not only with having enough inventory of plants for them to buy, but also being able to answer a lot of questions that they might have had. In terms of a timeline, I wanted to share with you how I saw things working for my nursery, at least last year. From April through the month of June, those were my busiest months for plant sales. So for this year, I want to hit that really hard with making a lot of my sales during those months. I still sold plants July, August, September, and even into October. But I plan on making most of my sales during that April through June timeframe. And what that will allow me to do is it will clean up a lot of my inventory out in my nursery bed, and then it will open up space for new plants that I want to put out there. There are things that I'm thinking about leading into this next season. And they're not big things, but they're things that I really need to be thinking about right now. The first thing that I'm doing when it comes to planning for this year's nursery is increasing my stock in plants. Now, you might be thinking, wait a minute, it's the end of January, early February, the ground is frozen here in New Hampshire, there's snow on the ground. How can I possibly be increasing my stock in plants? Well, the way I do that is through two methods. The first method is what's called winter sowing. And I've made videos in the past showing you the process for winter sowing, and I will put a link to those videos down below in the description. At a very high level, I just want to explain what winter sowing is. It's a way that you can start seeds without having grow lights, and you can do it outside. And what's really nice is I like to start my seeds in milk jugs. And once I set up my little mini greenhouses in the milk jugs, I set them outside and I pretty much forget about them. If they need water, I can add water to them. Otherwise, they're in a little tiny greenhouse, and once the weather warms up, the seeds will germinate when they're ready. And what I'm doing this time of year is I am sowing a ton of perennials that I collected the seeds myself. So the seeds were free to me. The milk jugs were free to me because we drink a lot of milk. And the potting mix I made myself, so it's a lot cheaper than buying bagged potting mix, although you can use bagged potting mix. That's totally fine. And I have a ton of milk jugs started. I don't know the number, but there's quite a few out there. And I am going to continue sowing them for the next few months. So those are a lot of perennials that I'm starting from seed. And even though perennials typically take 2, if not 3 years to get to a really good size, this is my way of increasing my stock or inventory of perennial plants. I definitely can be dividing perennials from my own yard, and I will. However, I don't want to divide all the perennials from my yard because I want to enjoy the beauty of the perennials in my own landscape. So I will be dividing plants from my yard. I will be starting a lot of plants from seed using winter sowing. And that helps me with the winter sowing process. That helps me increase my stock in plants from year to year. Other than the winter sowing process, I'm also starting a lot of plants indoors under my LED shop lights. Many of those plants are annuals and vegetable plants that I want to use in my own landscape. However, I'm also planning on selling some of those plants as part of my nursery. Last year, I didn't do that. I didn't sell any of the plants that I started indoors under my LED shop lights. But I noticed a lot of people were asking me about those plants. They saw them out there. I was hardening them off, and they saw them in the 6-packs and they wanted to buy them. So I didn't sell them last year because I really only grew enough plants for my own landscape. But this year, I'm definitely planning on selling some more annuals and vegetable starts in my nursery. It's another way I can make money and also attract more customers that way. They might stop by for vegetable plants, let's say, but then they see that I have annuals for sale, and then they see that I have perennials for sale. So I definitely want to offer a bigger variety of plants. Another thing that I've been doing for the last many months, and I'm going to continue doing, is collecting free pots. Pots can be very expensive, and when you have a backyard plant nursery, you're constantly potting plants up, and then you're selling plants. Some people might return the pots back to you, but many people won't because you don't know if you're going to have returning customers or not. Therefore, once you sell a plant, there goes the pot. So you're constantly having to increase your stock in pots. Pots can be very expensive. They are a necessary, though, when you have a backyard plant nursery. So I am always looking on Facebook Marketplace as well as a local nursery that has an area where you can drop off used pots or pick up used pots. I have collected hundreds and hundreds of used pots from that nursery, and I will continue to do so. Now, the key with picking up used pots is you want to make sure that you clean those pots. You want to clean them thoroughly, sterilize them, because if you don't do that, you might be bringing some sort of disease or insects into your own property. So it's a good idea to clean those pots after you bring them home. And I've made a video showing you how to clean and disinfect your own pots. I'll put a link to that video down below. One of my big goals for this winter was to create a Facebook presence. Last year, I listed my nursery on Facebook Marketplace, and that's how everyone found where my nursery was, what plants I was selling. I did also list it on Craigslist, but I got very few responses through Craigslist. So this year, I'm not even going to bother with Craigslist. I'm only going to post it on Facebook Marketplace. And last year, when I posted it on Facebook Marketplace, it was basically just one advertisement that listed my entire stock of plants. And even though that method did work, what I found was that I was limited to how many pictures I could put on Facebook Marketplace. And a number of people did ask me if I had my own page, like a Facebook page, and I did not. So I have gone ahead and started to create my own Facebook page, and it's coming along pretty well. It's going to take me the next few months to complete it, which is fine. But I wanted to share that with you just so you could take a look at the type of information that I'm including on that page. At a high level, it's generally a picture of the plant, the name of the plant, maybe some common names of the plant, and also the height that the plant gets, the sun requirements or shade requirements that the plant needs, some interesting facts that you need to know about the plant. Is it a pollinator magnet, or do birds enjoy that plant? The color of the plant, sharing whether or not the plant is good as a ground cover. And I will continue just adding to that Facebook page. I want it to include the full inventory of plants that I have. Right now, it has just all the perennials on there. Eventually, I will add all the annuals and also the vegetable starts that I'll be selling. And then probably the end of March into early April is when I will actually create a Facebook Marketplace advertisement. And then I'm simply just going to, on that advertisement, point people to my Facebook page. Then I only need to update my Facebook page. And the hope is that people will start following my Facebook page. They will share that page with other people. I've noticed a few other of my friends who have backyard nurseries do the same thing. They have a Facebook page and they have a large following of people through their Facebook page. So that's my goal, is to get people to start following me on Facebook. Now, with all that information that I'm populating on the Facebook page, what I'm planning to do also is I want to create some sort of a laminated booklet that inventories all the plants that I'm selling in my nursery. And that way, when people come to my house and they're asking questions on the different plants, I can show them that booklet and they can use it as a reference. And what I really like about that idea is there have been times when I've had multiple people here trying to shop and I can't be talking to all of them at once. So if I give the booklet to a few people, they can at least look through the booklet and they can find the flowers because I'll have them labeled, and they can figure out what kind of plants they're looking for. They can even start pulling plants out of the nursery, setting them aside. And I think that that will be a great way to just get that information out there. And it's also a great way for me to share that information when I'm talking to someone. I can't always remember all the different requirements different plants have. So it's nice to have it all documented in some sort of a laminated booklet. The final thing that I'm going to be working on during the next few months is taking hardwood cuttings from plants that are on my property. Now, the key with that is that you don't want to take hardwood cuttings and sell those cuttings if it's a plant that is patented. So I'll just be very mindful of that. It's okay if you take cuttings and you use them on your own property, but when it comes to selling, you have to be really careful. You want to make sure you're only selling plants that are not patented. So I do plan on doing that, and I'll be making a video on my process. And then in the springtime, I'm planning on taking softwood cuttings, and I will also show you that process. I'm very excited about taking the cuttings though. And in my garage, I have set up some heat mats and some LED shop lights. I'm planning on taking cuttings and keeping them out there. Now, I do realize that when I take cuttings during the winter months, the plants should not be growing a lot. We don't want them to grow a lot. So I'll be using the heat mats sparingly. I want the plants to put on some roots and to put on some growth, but not grow too much. So I'll be experimenting a lot with that whole process with the heat mats, and I'll bring you along with everything I'm going to do. And one of the things I'm very excited about trying very soon is taking cuttings of perennial mums and propagating those. So I already have my setup out there and I am ready to go with propagating those mums. And I do feel that that will be something very popular for me to sell in my backyard plant nursery, because a lot of people don't know that you can buy mums and put them in the ground and they will come back year after year. But here in New Hampshire, you need to get those mums in the ground in the spring months. So I do want to get those plants to at least start rooting and putting on a little bit of growth so that they can then be planted out in the landscape during the springtime. So those are my top things that I am working on right now during the next few months to get ready for my plant nursery. I'm so excited. It's going to be a great year, and I have a lot of big plans for my plant nursery, but I wanted to share these plans with you. If you have any questions, please drop them below in the comment section. And until the next video, make it a great day with gardening.